Welcome everyone to episode 16, Sweet 16
Wow.
of We Are Family.
Pitt's going to be there
Yes.
this year.
This is
Yes.
the year for
This
Pitt
is the year.
Basketball.
And speaking of Pitt, we are talking about both football and basketball, and obviously we are going to kick it off with the Steelers. And I'm just going to get right into it. Obviously, an ugly loss. AFC North. It's going to be a close game no matter who plays who. And today the Steelers were on the losing end. Both teams had opposite records, and now they still have opposite records, but now it looks a lot worse. So, want to get your guys' takes. Don't care who starts first.
Yeah, there's a lot to get into. Plus, we could talk about the Ravens game a little bit, but we need to talk to the Browns game because it's fresh on our minds.
It's like overshadowing that.
Right. Steelers still in control of the division. Tough loss. I guess I'll start. I'll first start off by saying I was the only one in our group and one of the only people in America who picked the Browns to win last night. And that's one of my rare W's in our NFL picks. I hoped that I was wrong. I actually said the score would be 23-20, and it was 24-19. But, I think Nate and Jake are going to be a little more pessimistic than I am about this. I think a lot of the Yinzer Nation is going to be a little more pessimistic about this game. Yes, the Browns are 2-8. Yes, Tomlin sucks on Thursday night. It's kind of a problem. Yes, the Steelers haven't looked like, let's just say they don't really look like a Super Bowl contender. They didn't last night. But let's be honest. They're not a Super Bowl they're not an elite team because they don't have an elite quarterback. They don't have an elite wide receiver room, okay? So, first I want to get that out of the way. Secondly, I thought this was going to be a close game. It's AFC North football. I thought it was going to be close. It was. I said, this Browns team is better than what their record shows with Jameis Winston. They just kind of got embarrassed on a short week. Cleveland, when they play Pittsburgh, it is their Super Bowl. So I was expecting this to be a battle. And when we were down at half, I was like, this isn't looking great. But, a lot of games to be played left. A lot of games to be played. But when I look at this game, I know a lot of people are on Tomlin about the decision at the end. I think it's not as obvious as some people say. And we'll get into that because I'm sure you have a lot. But when I look at this game, I look at the line of scrimmage. We had no pass rush on Jameis Winston the whole game. TJ Watt was a non-factor. We did get Nick Herbig had a really nice play. He got that fumble. But the pass rush was just not there. And the interior of our offensive line kind of got dominated. We had some success running the ball, but in key situations when we needed a yard or two, the plays got blown up. And I feel like Cleveland, got to give them credit, they won the line of scrimmage. I want to, and then the second thing, I blame most is Arthur Smith. He had a terrible game in some critical situations. First of all, the whole Justin Fields thing, I just feel like it's not being handled well. Like the fact that they're bringing him in on like the third play of the game and on a 4th and 2, when the offense was moving the ball in the first half. We had 3 really good drives, only got 3 points out of it. And bringing in Justin Fields that early, I feel like you bring in Justin Fields for a spark like they did in the 4th quarter. But when you bring in Justin Fields that early, it just, everything's just out of rhythm. So they bring in Justin Fields in that 4th and 2 play, and it was obvious they were running it because he was going to run a power because Connor Hayward was in the backfield. I mean, it was just such an obvious play. They kind of seemed all out of sorts, right? And of course they get stopped. The offensive line again kind of faltered. That fumble with Russ, the offensive line kind of had a bad game. And they kind of looked lazy on that play. Myles Garrett had a really good game, which we knew we were going to lose if he did. So there's that play. That's the first play I look at. And then I think this was the first drive of the game. We have 2nd and 3. We're driving down the field. We do a read option with Russ, which should have never happened. That sets up a 3rd and 3. Then we do a pass, and Russ is kind of just sacked. And he needed to get rid of the ball. That pushes us back Boswell misses a 58-yarder, which is almost impossible in those conditions. So that's more points we left on the board. And I'm saying there, why aren't we giving it to one of our backs? So that's two situations where we should have had points. And Arthur Smith, in my opinion, let us down. And then, and I will say this, and this is why I expected the Steelers to lose this game, but they were down 18-6. The game was over. And Russell Wilson showed so much fight. The offense showed so much fight. And I feel like we haven't seen that from some Steelers teams in the past. And they were in a position to win that game. And then we get the turnover. We're up 1 point, right? Actually, but before that, I want to say, I'm sorry, I'm kind of ranting here, but we're up 19-18. You go for that 2-point conversion. Not that it might have not have mattered, but that 2-point conversion, you go 5 wide with Russell Wilson. I don't agree. Justin Fields is running it. They just had a handoff go right in the end zone because of Justin Fields, because of his threat there. And that opened up a hole for Jalen Warren. I would have stuck with that, a read option or a run-pass option with Fields. Instead, you go to a 5 wide with Wilson. And worse yet, you throw a jump ball on the outside to Cordero Patterson for that 2-point conversion.
And it was a not accurate throw.
Yeah.
It wasn't accurate either. Didn't even give him a chance, really.
Well, I think he was actually interfered with. There should have been a PI.
Yeah, it was
call.
still high. It was still a higher.
Yeah, but you don't put it's just a bad play call,
I agree.
Okay. I thought Russ actually played one of his better games. If you look at the numbers, he was very efficient. He hit some plays over the middle of the field. This comes down to play calling. But here was the worst part. And this is where I think we lost the game. We had a chance. We had the ball 19-18. You bring in Justin Fields, so it's 3rd and 4, right? Him and Najee get, I don't know, he was handed off to Najee. 3rd and 4. Now here's what you do. You either bring in Russ to do a regular pass play, or you bring in Justin Fields to do an RPO or a read option. So Justin Fields stays in there. I'm thinking, okay, we're going to run the ball. If we don't get it, at least we'll waste one of their timeouts and we'll punt it away. Instead, Justin Fields throws a deep ball down the sideline, a ball that Russell Wilson should be throwing to George Pickens, and it wasn't even close. I mean, the play had no chance. And that stops the clock, gives them an extra timeout. Then we have the terrible punt. And they're basically set up to go down the field, get a couple first downs, and win the game. And to me, so you look at those 3 things of Arthur Smith. In an AFC North game, every possession matters. And he ruined the 3 possessions with 3 bad play calls. And I like I said, I like the whole Justin Fields thing, but you got to bring him in. You got to use him the right way. You can't be bringing him in that early in the game when the offense was kind of moving the ball anyway, number one. And you can't be throwing with him in that situation. You just can't do it. When you have Russell Wilson, he's having a really, really good game. He showed so much heart, so much toughness. I was really impressed by his toughness. Now, I will get into the Mike Tomlin stuff. I think some of his decisions were 50-50. Like, yes, they were questionable, but I get where he was coming from. And we're going to argue about this. But overall, I'm not like, oh my God, life is over right now. Like, the Steelers are 8-3. They won 5 in a row. They were due to lose 1. It was an AFC North game. I mean, the conditions were terrible in the second half. And that's actually when our offense got going. If we would have capitalized on those points and the chances we had in the first half, we would have won that game. And if we don't do what we did with Fields at the end. So, but I'm not, I think we match up better with Cincinnati, I think. Honestly, I know Burrow, obviously their offense is better, but I think, we'll have we'll be able to control the game against Cincinnati more than we could against Cleveland. I mean, we did own time of possession. We had more yards. It's just one of those things that, it was just a bad spot. I'm not panicking, though. I'm not panicking. Go ahead, Nate.
Okay. I'll start with the things I agree with you with. I did love the fight because I thought 18-6 in the snow, just not able to score any touchdowns. I'm thinking it's over. And then Russell Wilson, what a great couple drives. I mean, Justin Fields, when they utilize him right, he gets that 30-yard run.
They showed that when you need a spark, that's when you bring him in.
Yeah.
Don't bring him in the first quarter.
But they used him in the wrong times a lot in that game.
And then you pass with him at the end. That's just you got to, and that's why I hate the 2 QB stuff. It's kind of bush league. But if they use it right, it can work. But it was very. I mean, Arthur Smith had some bad moments.
Yeah, and I agree. He didn't have the greatest game, and I do think they used Justin Fields too much. On that one drive near the end, they used him like 3 or 4 times in a row. That was the drive when they ended the 3 and out there. I was like, is Russell Wilson hurt? Like, what happened there? He just led you on 2 touchdown drives, and he's not. We got Justin Fields in him for a whole series. I agree that they shouldn't have had the throw to Cordero Patterson. I don't know what they should have. It
was
like you said,
5 wide.
They should have had
the 2.
They should have had Fields in there, and then he brings that extra element. You don't know. You got a spy on him now too to run it into the end zone. It just gives you so much more. That's what he's there for. When you use the 2 quarterback system, he's there for the red zone plays when you're right there and you need a couple yards, a yard to get in the end zone. So I agree with you there. Arthur Smith, not a good game. However, in the end, it's 19-18. I know it was a terrible punt. That was a horrible time to have the worst punt of the season for Waitman. The ball's on the Browns, the Steelers side of the field already. However, it's 19-18, highest paid defense in the league. Okay, you're about to, and you get the stops. It's 4th down, 4th and 2. We're gonna get them up. Mike Tomlin. I can see where he was going on some of these decisions, but every one of them he chose wrong. Like literally every one of them was wrong. And the concerning thing, it could just be one game, but it's a pattern. It's a pattern, and we've seen it in the biggest games. And what also is a pattern is in the bigger games when you really need it most. The defense, it's still. I know you felt like the Browns were going to score in some capacity, but your highest paid defense is on the field. You get a stop there, it's over. They got to take their timeouts. You get 1 first down, it's over again. So I actually really liked the aggression on that 3rd and 4. I didn't like the Fields was the one throwing.
I don't like the aggression on the 3rd. If you have Fields in there, you're doing an RPO or read option. You're not throwing a deep ball.
Well, he shouldn't have been in there. He was not going to be able to run. He was already like limping.
Russ was having a great game, and they left him off.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I don't know why Fields was in the game, but the Steelers team, we see it every week. They got the lead, and they're playing conservative, and then they punt it to the other team, and then their defense gives up a score. So we've seen this. It always happens, and I love the aggression there. And it actually wasn't the worst throw. George Pickens did not get off the line well on that play. He literally was jogging for the first part, and then he kind of accelerates a little bit. There was no pass interference, and he's calling for a penalty. After the game, he's like,
he crashed out.
Yeah, well, he does that every game.
He's a man-child. But that's another thing.
But if he makes that catch...
But it was not a good throw. No, it wasn't a good throw. You don't have Justin Fields in there in that situation, period. And I like how we use Justin Fields at times, but if you're not going to put him in the right situations and take him out in the right situations, if Arthur Smith can't handle it, it should not be a thing. I'm sorry, it should not be a thing.
Okay,
he can't handle it.
I agree. He shouldn't have been in the game. However, if George Pickens is actually running the route full hard the whole time, that's a good catch.
I
saw the thing.
To be fair, Pickens did a lot of flopping. While he did make some contested catches, he did try to get a lot of calls.
It wasn't near him. It was way over his head.
Yeah, because he wasn't running, and then he started running.
How do you know he wasn't running?
Because I saw the play.
I did not see that. I think you're thinking of, there was another play where he stopped his route, but not on that.
No, that one too. He didn't stop his route, but he didn't start it.
Okay, well, you don't throw a deep ball with just, you don't, that's just a bad play.
I mean, I agree that he shouldn't have been the one, but if you get that, then Arthur Smith, what a great play call. The Steelers win.
No, I still would have. There are times when things work, and I still don't like it. And I'm sorry, you can't. If you have Fields in there, you got. At least if you don't get it, if you run and don't get it, at least you make them waste a timeout, or you kill 40 seconds.
And also, they weren't expecting it. Nobody was expecting that. We're talking about predictability. Okay. Nobody was. No, they weren't.
But it was man-to-man coverage. But the guy was obviously, he knew what his responsibility was to cover George Pickens. So it's not like that guy wasn't expecting it. He was ready to go.
But one-on-one,
he obviously had him covered.
Every time George Pickens wins one-on-ones, when they don't bring an extra guy. It's a deep ball. It's 50-50, but really 75-25 with George Pickens.
It wasn't a good throw.
It wasn't a great throw, but Pickens, if he would have actually ran the route the whole time, he would have at least been very close to making.
I thought you were going to talk about Mike Tomlin.
I am going to get there. I'm going to get there.
That is a horrendous play call. Not a good throw. I don't care what George Pickens did, frankly. I know he's an issue, but I don't care what he did on that play. I don't.
All right. Well, okay.
Okay, move on to Mike Tomlin.
So I'm going to get to Mike. So he should have punted with a 58-yard field goal. I don't know what he was doing there.
Yeah.
Here's where I'll defend him. Chris Boswell's been a god. Like, you're going to trust him in that situation. I agree, I would have punted, but I understand where he's coming from there. You know, and that's and honestly, it's on Arthur. That before that, it's on Arthur Smith for not. We were running the ball well that first drive. We don't run the ball. We do a read option, and then Russ gets sacked. What is that with like? What is that?
Yeah, I agree, but I think it's that kind of game is a field position game. You know, it's a 50-yard field goal. Any kicker in the league, I wouldn't trust him in the snow.
But it didn't end
blizzard.
up. They went 3 and out afterwards, so it didn't end up.
I know, but it could have. I mean, it
didn't.
And then they right after that they got all the momentum and they got this touchdown. So that's not even nearly the worst of it.
No.
That last drive when the Steelers were on defense, I don't think it's particularly a tough. I don't know what Mike Tomlin was doing there. It's third. I thought it might have been intentional grounding. I don't know, but I guess it was. Whatever, it wasn't.
It was because it was illegal touching.
Yeah, it was illegal touching.
And that should be a rule that's fixed, by the way, in the NFL. If the guy doesn't throw it to a receiver and the lineman touches it, you shouldn't be rewarded with getting a 10-yard less penalty. Because that was intentional grounding. Yeah. But then the rule changes if a lineman touches it. But that is what it is. I'm not going to harp on that.
So the situation, it's, okay, either 3rd and 7 or 4th and 2. Either way, if you do 3rd and 7, you get 2 chances for the Browns to get the first down. As opposed to 4th and 2, it's 1. And also, they're not going to kick the field goal either way. We saw that. It was 4th and 2, and they had the offense out there. And then Mike Tomlin's like, I got to call a timeout. I got to figure out what I want to do here. And he ends up, which is, he used if he would have kept that timeout, and when they got the first down, you have to let them in the end zone.
Okay.
And I thought they were going to let them in, and then they stopped them at the 1.5-yard line, and they waste 40 seconds, which would prove to be costly at the end of the game.
Yeah, they should have just let him walk. But I think on that play, because they were still at like the 4 or 5, they were still trying to stop him. And,
I know, but
when you're a player on the field.
Yeah.
You're going to try and make a play.
I know, but and also Joey Porter. Let's be honest about Joey Porter Jr.
We'll get to Joey Porter, but I want to defend Tomlin on this 3rd and 7 thing. If they get the 4th and 2, if you allow them to have the 4th and 2, with the way the offensive line for Cleveland was playing, they were probably going to get that with Nick Chubb. I'd rather back them up. I'd understand either way is my point. And here's where I'm defending Tomlin. I'd rather have them backed up. 3rd and 7, you get a stop. Then you force them to have a 4th and 7, or even if they only get a couple yards, a 4th and 4, 4th and 5, rather than a 4th and 2. Or if it's an incomplete pass, right? 4th and 7, now it's like it's not an automatic go-for-it situation. Now the kicker has an even harder kick. They probably might have gone for it on a 4th and 7, but it's much harder than a 4th and 2 when you have Nick Chubb and that offensive line out there. So I understand where Tomlin was coming from there. And I know people are going to, I feel like if they get a stop there, he looks like you said that about Arthur Smith, but I disagree. Okay. I'd rather have a 4th and 7 than a 4th and 2, or a 3rd and 7 than a 4th and 2. That's just me. And I kind of agreed with Tomlin, and I know it didn't work out, and that's on him, but I'm not as critical of that. I'm just not.
But the way the game was going, though, they were going to get they were going to complete on 3rd and 7.
How do you know that?
Because that's the way I know it was a 3rd down. They were terrible on 3rd down.
It's snowing. Sure, go ahead, have Jameis pass on 3rd and 7.
But the defense is getting shredded the whole game. I just would rather have only one opportunity.
I wouldn't say they were getting shredded the whole game. But Joey Porter got shredded. And so Tomlin calls that timeout. I know that's what else you're criticizing him. If you watch the play before, and I don't understand why this is the case, because they had all that time, because Tomlin was deciding whether to accept or decline. It took 90 years. Yeah. But they had all that time to set up their defense, but they're all looking confused. They don't know what's going on. So Tomlin was forced to call that timeout to get his defense right. He was forced to call it. And I know that's not ideal, but he had to call it to try and get a stop there because that's the game. That's the game. And you had a 3rd and 7. You had the defense set up. And that's on Joey Porter. I mean, he was getting torched by Judy all game, and he got torched again. That's on Joey Porter.
Yeah, they target him every play.
Not on Tomlin.
Every play, every passing play, that one drive.
I had Judy and Najee in fantasy. I should have started Judy over Najee.
I'm gonna make one point that I don't want to hear Jake's thoughts. He's just
no
patiently waiting.
No worries at all.
But that's not even like the timeout. I understand, okay? But what I really don't understand, you give up the first down because, of course, you do this defense. I mean, if they don't get a pass rush, they just target Joey Porter.
Joey Porter is an issue.
And they didn't get a, like, I just get frustrated. Like, every once in a while, like, we've seen it in all 3 losses, really. The pass rush just doesn't show up, and then the secondary gets burned.
Right.
And we lose the game. And it happens in the playoffs too. I mean, every game we play in the playoffs, we give up so many points, and we're supposed to have a stellar defense. We do. We look at the players on the roster, and in the biggest moments, it's 1918. I understand you got to get a stop there if you're the defense that is so much heavily invested, and they didn't do it. And my biggest thing is not letting them in the end zone. Because I would have told my team, hey, you got to let them in because they got it all the way down there already. And once you see them running,
I would agree with you. I think that's maybe where Tomlin faltered the most. But I think people are going to harp on this whole timeout thing. He had to call it, and the 3rd and 7. I understand where he's coming from there. I think I would have rather had Jameis Winston in a 3rd and 7 than Nick Chubb in a 4th and 2. I'm sorry, and it's not Tomlin's fault that Joey Porter was ass. And there was no pass rush a lot of the game. So
that's his defense. I mean,
what are you gonna? I mean, he put out what he thought was the best play, and they didn't execute.
I think a minute and 36 with 1 timeout is so much easier. It's so hard.
You're
but
talking
so
about
much,
them letting them score.
Yeah, it's so much easier than
that was
56
bad.
seconds.
That was bad. I'll agree with you on that.
And they didn't manage it well at the end too, but I didn't really think they were going to score.
There was no chance.
But so and also in the first half, what was he doing with the timeouts?
That was bad too.
I have no idea what he was doing.
So those 2 things I will agree with you on. But the timeout and the 3rd and 7, I'm sorry, I'm not like that's on the players. That's on the players more than it is.
But he got out coached in this game pretty clearly, and this defense and offensive lines got pushed around the whole game.
They did. And I think that's one of the biggest
by
concerns.
Inferior.
And Joey Porter as well.
Yeah. And, I mean, TJ Watt was he's been very quiet in the past few weeks. It's kind of crazy. So that's where it's an excuse. Why is it that every trap game the Steelers have, they lose? Every time someone says it's a trap game, they lose.
I don't think they played terribly. Like, the offense kind of moved the ball pretty well. It was more on the coaching, Arthur Smith, and then the 2 things with Tomlin. Not the 4 or 5 things that people are going to complain about, but those 2 specific things where that kind of cost us. And the fact that the offensive line and defensive line kind of got pushed around. But like overall, I'm not panicking about this game. I don't feel like the world's over. I just don't. I feel like we're going to bounce back. We're going to be okay. We won 5 in a row. It happens. And Tomlin stinks on Thursday night. And our buddy Colin Coward says because he thinks we're so physical that we're just tired by Thursday night. Tomlin has them so physical in practice, preseason, all that. Jake?
Yeah.
Let's get your recap. We're going to
No worries at all. I definitely wanted you guys to debate on that. I know, I didn't really want to look at the group chat because on my TV it was delayed, so I knew you guys would let me know about stuff that I didn't know. So I didn't. But I knew you guys were
I'm always
so I
delayed
wanted
too.
you guys.
I was probably on the same thing because I'm always delayed like 30 seconds.
No worries at all. But in my opinion, you guys know how critical I've always been with the Steelers, especially recent years. I truly felt they should have went through an actual rebuild. I mean, Kenny Pickett his rookie season, they had no business winning and going 9-8. Like that was especially how they started. And
I'll tell you what, Kenny Pickett. Nor probably Big Ben in the end would have came back in that game last night. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
Kenny was the king of comebacks. What do you mean? 4th quarter.
But either way.
Not in that game. Not in the snow with his tiny hands.
But either way, you hardly see me feel optimistic about a Steelers team, especially whenever I truly don't feel like we have the quarterback of the future for the next decade. And I was really, really excited for this team. 8-2. I was like, I picked the Steelers. Usually on a trap game, I can predict when they lose, but I figured this, we were doing new things this offseason. This is going to be a new team, and it just absolutely was not. I mean, I understand that the AFC North is going to be a close game. I don't care that it was a close game. I really don't. But you just can't lose that game with the rest of the season going on. I know that There's still a lot of season left to go, but we saw whenever the Steelers were 7-2-1, and they just completely just fell apart and missed the playoffs. I mean, we can't act like everything's going to be fine moving forward. Like, you need to sweep the Browns in this situation with how the rest of the season's going to go. I mean, the Ravens game's not guaranteed, even though we beat them. I don't care that Lamar Jackson sucks against the Steelers. I really don't. You can't. That game's not going to be a guarantee. The Bengals aren't going to be a guarantee. We know how great their offense is. I don't care how bad their defense is. That's not going to be an easy stretch. I mean, we had to sweep the Browns, in my opinion, to be comfortable going into the playoffs, and we just didn't. And I know how frustrating the offense looked. I was really angry at Arthur Smith on a lot of the third and short and the fourth and short, where we just had not a delayed handoff, but a long handoff instead. Like on 3rd and 1, quarterback sneak. Like, we're in the snow. It's not like. Yeah. But anyway, I thought the defense played their worst game, and I know they got 3 turnovers. And you're probably thinking, really, they played their worst game of the season? What do you mean? You cannot win a game without getting a 4th down stop. What, they were 4-4 on 4th down? Like, you can't have that.
No, they did not play well.
Like, and it's not like Jameis Winston has played in the snow his entire life. He was at Florida State, played for Tampa Bay, played for New Orleans. It's not like he looked like he played in the snow his entire life, because our defense, I mean, I'm not, like, at times they're undisciplined. I wouldn't even say they're undisciplined. They were just bad. I mean, you can't give up 24 points to a quarterback that can't play in the snow. Or can't play in the snow, but hasn't played in the snow consistently his entire career. You can't give up 24 points. I know we got 3 turnovers. This was going to be a turnover game. You saw the TV. There were, what, 4 or 5 turnovers in the game. Like, that was going to be expected for both teams. But you cannot lose that game. And to me, the Steelers, it looked for a second that this was going to be a new team. I mean, we saw 2 blowouts in a row. We never blow out teams. We saw 2 blowouts in a row with the Jets and Raiders. I thought this was going to be different. It is absolutely not, and that falls under Mike Tomlin. The Browns came in this game as a 2-8 team with virtually nothing to play for except being the Steelers. They were way more intense than the Steelers were. The Steelers figure, we're 8-2. We're playing the Browns. Who cares? We need to worry about the Chiefs, the Eagles, Bengals, Ravens, whatever. And they did not play a good game. I'm sorry. This goes under coaching. This goes under Tomlin. This goes under Arthur Smith for not making the correct play calls whenever it was 3rd or 4th and short. Like like you need to convert on those. The Browns were able to. We weren't. And I think that was just disappointing on the Steelers'
I
part.
just disagree, though, in terms of them not showing, I feel like they showed fight, like they showed up to play.
At the second half, they did. At the second half, they did, but the beginning,
first half, they
did not.
outplayed them. They had better offensive possessions than the Browns. The Browns had that 1 offensive possession and scored 7. We had 3 good offensive possessions and scored 3 points.
But they weren't good on the lines of scrimmage. They were getting pushed around.
Yeah.
They were
but
not
the play
locked in.
calling was not good.
Yeah, and you can't go 6 to 7 quarters in a row without scoring a touchdown.
Yeah.
You just can't. I mean, and I get it. The Browns may have had less offensive drives. They were on the field less, but they were able to get it done. They were able to get in the end zone.
Bigger picture, though. If you were to look at this Steelers team in the beginning of the year and say, we're going to be 8-3 going into Thanksgiving, come on. Like, you're not complaining.
I would have expected it because of the gauntlet, of the schedule the rest of the way, and how easier the opponents were.
I thought they needed to go 8-3.
Look, they're still going to get to 11-12 wins. I think I agree with you. Sweeping the Browns, definitely, if them losing the Browns may end up hurting. If they lose the division by a game, we're going to look back at this game. I agree with you on that. But we know this team with the quarterback situation. Russ is better, much better than what we've had, but it's not elite. They're not elite. They're not going into Kansas City, going into Buffalo, and probably winning. But if they can win the division, they have a chance to at least set up to have that opportunity. And if they get like the 5th seed, even if they still don't win the division, get the 5th seed, they'll play Houston. And I think we can go in and win that game and set up for, a game against the Kansas City or Buffalo. So like, and I think we still match up with Cincinnati well. I think we're going to beat Cincinnati at least once. I think maybe twice. I think we're going to beat Cleveland at home. Like and the effort last night, I wasn't completely dissatisfied with it. And I just feel like, we just kind of got outplayed at times and outcoached. I agree. I think the coaching, especially with Arthur Smith more than Tomlin, but Tomlin a couple times there too. We did get outcoached.
But I just one more point before I think we've been going on about this, but the 3 turnovers too. The one fumble.
The offensive line gave up on that play. That was really bad.
Yeah,
When they knocked the ball out of Russ's hand.
yeah. I'm talking about the Browns though, like our defense. Who was that? Which was it?
Herbig.
No. Was it Tillman who was running and then we got the fumble?
Yeah, it was Tillman.
That one was just one.
That was fluky.
That was
Yes.
the interception was
Because they
thrown
were about
right
to
to Dante
score.
Jackson. I mean, it was like the worst throw of it.
Yeah.
He was due to throw a pick.
Yeah, it's
In those
Jameis
conditions,
Winston.
it's tough to throw the ball. We even saw that with Russ. That play to
Yeah.
Pickens was wide open.
But I was
then he hit
impressed.
Calvin Austin.
I was impressed by Russell Wilson.
He was
though.
great. He was really.
If you look at the numbers and you just look at like his throws, like the one I really wanted to get that Pickens touchdown. They got the Calvin Austin one
He
a
bounced
couple
back.
plays better later, but I wanted to get that for fantasy because
Yeah.
I started Pickens. I shouldn't have started. I don't know why I
Yeah, I
did it.
shouldn't have
I'm
either.
just I'm the worst fantasy guy. I overthink everything. But he only got like 9
Welcome
points.
to the
but,
club.
But if he would have got that touchdown, that would have been a nice consolation
Yeah.
for me. But Calvin Austin gets it. Calvin Austin had a nice game, and they got Fryermuth involved too. So I
Which
really
was
like.
good. The offense showed with the passing game showed some
Well,
good,
that's why-
good stuff. Yesterday.
That's why I'm not gonna like crush Arthur Smith because there were some nice play designs. It was
That's
just the running
quarter-
ability.
But
He was-
those plays were there last week too. Russ just finally hit them.
Smith was at his worst in 3rd and short and
Yeah.
4th and short. That's just how it
in the key
was.
situations, he was bad.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I like getting Justin Fields involved, but if he can't handle it well on a consistent basis, I don't like the 2 QB thing.
So do we?
I'm sorry.
So do we have confidence that next with the Bengals off a bye, rested?
That is-
We got a little bit more rest.
we get rest though.
How much
too.
confidence do you have that they're not just gonna put Joey Porter on Jamar Chase and Jamar Chase gonna have 250
The
yards?
pass
Or
rush,
250
the pass
penalty
rush has
yards,
got
too.
to be
Or
there.
yeah,
And the Cincinnati O-line
isn't great.
isn't
yeah.
great, but we thought the Browns O-line is kind of beat up, but they were more physical. So
They-
it's going to depend on the pass.
The
rush.
Browns give up like either 3.5 or 4.3 or something sacks per game, and the Steelers they just got the strip sack, right? The fumble.
Herbig got the strip sack.
That's unacceptable. And T.J. Watt was completely neutralized. Cam Hayward had some nicely. He batted the ball down a couple times. I don't know. If you don't get any pass rush with this defense, like, and we saw they didn't get burned. Do you see the one play? Both linebackers went with Njoku late in the game, and that one other.
Yeah.
They had like 3 tight ends who were just.
Although I think our linebacker play overall has gotten better and better every week.
Yeah.
Patrick Queen is hitting really hard. Peyton Wilson is playing
Yeah.
physical.
I'm just saying, like overall, like the defense overall.
the run defense was actually good, pretty good.
It
for a lot
actually,
of the game.
it actually is crazy.
Yeah.
Like against Washington, against Baltimore, I'm thinking that they've given up more. It just feels like they've given up more than they actually have. Like I feel like Chubb got whatever he wanted though. Don't you?
No, I think we stopped them pretty well. I mean,
Really?
on those
I
4th
thought-
and shorts, they got what they got.
But those are
we
like the
talked
biggest
about.
plays though. Those are the ones where it matters most. That's why you kind of
But
think
it's
that.
tough when you're facing Nick Chubb in the snow. I mean,
I know, but he's hasn't been himself so far. He's averaging 3 yards a carry. You know.
well, yeah. But I mean, it's not like I thought the run defense was relatively decent, but you got to get like a 4th down stop. But
Yeah.
the Browns won the line of scrimmage. I mean, you can't
Yeah.
deny that.
All right, well, I think that's a good place to stop. That was awesome. But
That's
now we got
That's
to
the
get to,
podcast. That's
Yeah.
it. Thank you for listening.
yeah, we got to go to another football team that's also frustrating us a lot,
Hmm.
and that is Pitt Football. And
They frustrate me much more than the Steelers. I'm sorry.
yeah, they do, and especially me.
Steelers
being
won
more,
5 in a row. Okay, like
Yeah.
all right.
especially me being more of a Pitt football fan. I mean,
Yeah.
at least for the Steelers' sake. I mean, the playoffs are the same for everyone. For Pitt, they're out of everything.
Yeah.
So except
Not
for a
the
bowl
Sun
game.
Bowl, the
Yeah,
Sun-
not the Sun Bowl. Oh boy. But yeah, no. I mean, we definitely thought. I think all 3 of us collectively thought this was going to be more of a blowout than like this was a close game. This was a close
Well,
game.
I think
the
what it
entire
showed
game.
was Clemson's just. I mean,
Yeah.
I thought Clemson was a more elite team than they were. They're just not. Nate? You want to start on this?
Well, I
want you to
thought
start
going into the game, I'm not going to talk much for this. I talked too much before.
I talked a lot. I mean,
I thought about I'm done, really thinking about that game. But I actually thought going into the game, I was like, I said this is one of those games where Pitt wins, like somehow finds a way to win and pull off an upset. I mean, it's a classic losing, getting upset like they did against Virginia. Coming out, I knew they were going to play harder because it's Clemson, no matter
Right.
what.
Yeah.
Right.
No matter if they won or lost the Virginia game. And I thought they played really well offensively. Nate Yarnell, for all the circumstances, being down like every running back basically, they weren't going to run Des Reed up the middle, and they didn't. because he's an outside running back. You got to get him on the outside. And he showed that again against Clemson, those big runs on the outside when he got there. His speed is just, I don't know how he didn't get recruited. I mean, he got recruited by Pitt, and like he was going to go to Coastal Carolina, and then Cade Bell goes to Pitt, and then he transferred. That's crazy.
Yeah. Any
team could have had him. But yeah, it was just the defense played out of their mind. I thought it was a great defensive performance.
Mm-hmm.
It was just so tough at the end that was what cost them that run, because they were playing so well. They were getting sacks, they were getting pressure. The secondary, I mean, you hate James Pierre, I hate Rashad Battle. He's a college kid.
Yeah.
He's but because against Cincinnati he was getting burned, but they wound up winning. Against SMU, he set the tone with that missed tackle.
Yeah.
It was like the easiest tackle ever. And if you stop him, it's 4th down, and then he gets that.
Yeah.
They get all the way into the red zone. That set the tone for SMU. But he had a good game. I mean, credit where credit's due. He had a good game.
Other than the last play.
Last play when everybody.
Yeah.
That was a bad for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, Kate Klubnik was brave. I mean, the whole, they were playing man, and there was no spy. There shouldn't have been there's no. I don't think you need a spy for Kate Klubnik anyway. He wasn't running at all, but everybody was just way back, and then you could have stopped them, and settled for a field goal, stop them, 25 somewhere around there, because he was gonna get like 20 yards at least, but he ends up breaking tackles. I mean, that was crazy. That was really poor tackling, and he ends up getting the touchdown, but. I thought overall, and I thought they were really aggressive throughout the whole game. I didn't like. I like when coaches go for and get aggressive. I thought they should have went for the kill instead of just settling and running the ball and kicking the field goal at the end to make it 2017. I think because I was like, I don't know, the defense held up all game, but I just feel like Clemson's gonna be able to score here a touchdown. So I was thinking, with all the time they left too. I was thinking,
well, they killed themselves with penalties like they did all game.
Yeah.
That was one of the huge differences.
It was.
In the game. If you look at every metric, the Pitt was the better team.
Oh yeah.
And except for penalties, they had 12 penalties.
They had 100 more yards.
Again, with Pat Narduzzi, the undisciplined bullcrap. With him and the 12 penalties. I mean, they jumped offside 3 times. Oh my God.
But they got the stop, and then they got the stop. But they could have got better field position.
Yeah, exactly.
That was 15 extra yards. Imagine what they weren't being able to get in the end zone. Imagine what they could have done. And that actually too.
But more importantly. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say the Des Reed play. They didn't really show this, but he actually got a touch. That was actually a touchdown.
Yeah, but you're at the 2-yard line.
Yeah, I know. I agree. I'm just saying.
And that's what I'm saying. More importantly, they had those penalties on that play. If they're at the 2-yard line, you need to score. You need to score.
Yep.
And you had the penalties, the undisciplined penalties for no reason. I mean, Nate Yardell was having delay of games all the time. I don't know what that was about. I don't know. Out of
timeouts. Like they called a timeout, and at least twice they had a delay of game.
That's on the quarterback and the offensive coordinator. Okay, so the penalties. I mean, the undisciplined stuff. I mean, that's on.
And their offensive line. A lot of it was the offensive line, but a lot of it, like Bartholomew and Overman, had some pre-snap penalties, the false starts as well. So it wasn't even, but the offensive line.
Okay,
it's an issue.
But here's because they have guys hurt.
Right. They have everybody hurt.
Here's the thing, I know they had penalties and stuff, but this is the problem with Pitt. Yeah, you have 400 yards of offense, but when you're at the 2-yard, why do you only have 20 points?
Yeah.
You're at the 2-yard line. You have the penalties, but. If you're a team that's well balanced, you go up there and you run the ball in. I don't care if you're 5th string running back. I know they had injuries. I don't care if it's your 5th string running back. You go in and you run the ball, and the penalties set them back. And that just goes to my whole point, which is you had 400 yards of offense. Nate Yarnell did the best he could. I mean, I watched him. I had a great seat at that game. I was there. He's not, he can't really read. He doesn't process all that well. He missed some check down, like some easy check down.
But he made some big throws.
He did. But he threw 50 times.
Yeah. No reason.
And the Cade Bell is too stubborn to run the ball and get a running game going. They never run the ball consecutively. I think maybe once in that game they ran the ball consecutively.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time we had drives, but it was like we just kept trying to. We'd have a good run, and then we'd go back and pass 3 times, and then nothing would happen. And you can't have a guy like Nate Yarnell throwing 50 times. And yeah, he had a good game. The kid really, he did the best he could. But and the sacks, some of it was on the offensive line. Some of it was on him because he doesn't process. He held the ball way too long. But you can't be throwing the ball 50 times. They are just so unbalanced. And with a freshman quarterback who's talented but still has a lot of work to do, and a guy who isn't as talented like Nate Yarnell, you can't be throwing the ball 57% of the time. I think Pitt is like top 10 in the country in terms of throwing more than running. And I know that they don't feel like they have that downhill back because Desmond Reed is more of a side-to-side guy. But you can't. I know we're not Frank Signetti anymore, and I like that. But if they run the ball 5 to 10 more times in that game, they probably win and get more points. And you have to score when you're at the 2-yard line, and that's on the offensive coordinator. We're never under center, and that's on the offensive coordinator and the head coach for having stupid penalties like that. And then, of course, Narduzzi and his scheme, like I said, the players have gotten better on defense. They did play well, but he never makes any adjustments for the current situation. I guarantee that Clemson had those 3 plays that they scored on so fast. I guarantee they had those saved for the end for that situation because they knew they would exploit Narduzzi. It was just a curl route, wide open, right? Because we're playing, press man or press quarters. And then, you blitz. Like, that's the thing with Narduzzi's defense. You always blitz. But if you don't get to the quarterback, he's either going to have space to run like we saw, or he's, there's going to be a guy streaking wide open. So, that was really pathetic, honestly. So, but I blame the fact that we don't, like I said, what really annoys me the most is that we don't run the ball. That really irritates me.
And, I 100% agree with that. Like, I'm not saying turning, like you said, I'm not saying turning to Frank Signetti where everyone was on the hashes and you knew we were going to run the ball up the middle. But I'm extremely disappointed in Cade Bell. I know he's young. Hopefully he learns, hopefully. But when you don't have your starting quarterback in, you make the offense catered towards your quarterback skill set. And Yarnell's skill set is establish the running game because he can find guys open. I'm not saying he can do it at a somewhat consistent level as a veteran. I'm not saying, he's the greatest quarterback. But if you run different packages with Desmond Reed and Daniel Carter before he gets hurt, and with the butterfly effect, if we use both of them more, who knows if Daniel Carter gets hurt? Right. If you establish that running game with both of those guys, Nate Yarnell can find guys open. And I know our receivers haven't been catching. I mean, Poppy Williams has had more drops than catches the past 2 games. But I just feel like you have to cater your offense towards your quarterback. Eli Holstein can run a Cade Bell offense for the most part. I know he hasn't looked good recently, but they brought him in and had him as the starter because he can run the Cade Bell offense better than Yarnell can. That's just a fact. And as the offensive coordinator, you have to cater your offense towards Yarnell. You can't act like you have Eli Holstein out there, and that's what they did. And I'm just very disappointed in that because this could have been a winnable game. And I know Clemson has a good defense. They especially have a good front 7. I mean, our offensive line was going to have no shot.
I'm going to be honest, I wasn't that impressed with their defense.
They got a lot of pressure. They were in the backfield.
Our offensive line stinks.
Yeah,
Virginia got.
That's what I expected to happen. I knew that was going to be an issue, and unfortunately for Yarnell, he saw 100% of that issue with the line. But I can't excuse that with not catering towards the offense. And then Cade Bell at the 2-yard line was trying to run some complicated stuff.
Just run it. Run the ball.
Yes, he didn't want to run the ball.
Motions.
Yeah, he didn't want to run the ball. We had 5 seconds left, and we have 2 guys running motions. Like, we gotta snap the ball. This isn't the time to be running motions.
Timeout.
This isn't the time to be running motions.
And then a delay of game after a timeout.
Yeah. I mean, this is like being that close to the goal line is not the time to run motions. Don't try to fool anyone.
Yeah.
It's just you gotta make adjustments as the offensive coordinator, and he didn't do that. And unfortunately for Narduzzi, like you said, cannot make adjustments. The one game
it's the same defense.
The one game he truly made adjustments, I truly believe, was the Wake Forest ACC championship game in the second half.
Yeah.
That's the only game where I remember him making adjustments to where the defense was an absolutely different unit at the second half. And unfortunately, on that last play, we dominated the run game, but they took advantage of us not having any linebacker up the middle. I mean, everyone was just playing man, like in the middle of the field was wide open for Kate Klubnik to, as long as he snuck through someone, he was going to get at least 15
That
yards.
just can't happen.
It can't happen.
That can't happen.
It can't.
My only rebuttal, okay, with the run game, I completely agree. We should have ran more.
Because we were running the ball well. When we did run the
Yeah.
ball, we were getting like 5
Yeah.
yards at least. Like it. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I mean, they were in their defense. I guess I agree. We should have ran the ball more. Obviously, the line was just getting bullied, and you knew it was going to happen.
In the
And
pass
Daniel-
rush,
and Daniel-
not in the run game.
Yeah, but if you keep running the offensive lines, it was wearing down.
I'm not saying be run dominant. I'm just
Yeah.
saying run a couple times in a
agree.
row here and there. I'm not, you know what
and
I
they,
mean?
they just don't, and they don't like Derek Davis like whatsoever.
Yeah.
Well, you got to, I mean,
Yeah, and they're redshirting Rodney Hammond. I mean, they
Yeah.
really had like nobody.
and you said, well, but not your starting quarterback. I think with both of them, and I know Yarnell, I think Olstein is much more talented, much more athletic. But Holstein, you can actually have run plays with him, read on.
Yeah.
We've seen him have success with that.
Right.
But that was a lot of my concern with this team is Holstein kind of got lucky. He could have thrown some bad picks because it's like, why aren't we running the ball here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With both of these guys, you can't put the whole game on their shoulders. You just can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's disappointing. I don't know if there's anything else you guys want to add before.
We play Louisville.
Yeah.
I know we're 7 or 8 point dogs on
Yeah.
the road. You know, I expect Pitt to play hard. They might be a little flat after last week because that was the game they should have won. And what makes me, I thought Louisville was a for real team because they beat up Clemson.
Yeah.
But they just lost to Stanford.
Yeah.
So you think they're probably going to be ready to go against
Yeah.
a 7-3 team at home?
Or they could completely give up too. You never know. But I don't think
if they could beat Louisville,
Yeah.
and if they could finish out with 9 wins, I think
That's a great-
Considering they
I'm-
started 7-0,
I'm not going to complain.
I'm not going to
That's a
complain
great
either.
season.
But
Yeah.
7-5, 8-4 after 7-0, that just can't happen.
Right.
And I know that this team should have been they were more of a 6-win team, but you got to get to 9 wins. I feel like, and they should have. They should have.
And they should at least get to 8 because Boston College has Grayson James but he had a good game against SMU.
Boston College is not terrible. They're I think they're a little better than Virginia.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
yeah. they
So
are.
that's not a guaranteed win at all.
But we should have
And it's on the
Yeah.
road.
we should have pummeled.
Yeah, we
Virginia.
should.
We're clearly more. I mean, I don't even want to.
Yeah,
We
well,
talked about that.
Yeah. Well, instead of getting mad, let's focus on the one team that hasn't disappointed us yet, and that is Pitt Basketball. So they play their
They haven't had
little
many
tournament.
opportunities yet.
They haven't.
They
Yeah.
have the Greenbrier Classic
Yep.
here, and who knows where?
Yeah.
Where did we figure
I
out
think
where
it's
it is
in West Virginia.
Yeah, and they got Louisville and Ohio State as guaranteed games the next 2 games. So
Louisville.
was LSU and
yeah,
Ohio State.
They're going to play
Sorry.
LSU today at
Yeah,
2:30.
yeah.
And then they're going to play
Either-
depending on if they beat LSU, if they beat LSU, they'll play the winner of UCF and Wisconsin.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, or the
Two tou-
loser if they
two-
lose.
yeah.
Two very, they're the 2 toughest games at this point.
Yeah.
Obviously for sure.
And then Ohio State next Friday. Which
Yeah,
will be
and then
interesting.
after that at Mississippi State, who Pitt has had some.
We've had some history. We
Yeah,
have
we
some
did.
And
history.
they're a really good basketball team as
Yeah.
well.
They're always
So this is a critical stretch because if you lose these games, it's not the worst thing in the world, right? Because you're undefeated already. But if you win these games, it's so huge. Not for all the metrics. They all look at the metrics.
You'd like to at
And-
least win. There's going to be 4, so you'd like to at least win, 2 or 3 of those games.
And they're
Right.
going to be an underdog at Ohio State and at Mississippi State. Now, not by much because I think those teams are pretty equal with Pitt. But if they can, LSU, they're 6.5 point favorites today.
That's a game you should win. Yeah,
LSU's a good team, but Pitt's better.
Yeah.
Okay, Pitt is the roster. I mean, LSU is a couple guys, but they have a lot of freshmen they're relying on right now. They somehow almost won the SEC tournament last year. It was kind of crazy, but they were not a good basketball team. But this year they're better. It's year 2 for their coach who came over from Murray State. This should be a game you win, but it's going to be close, I think, because LSU's they won at Kansas State, who was getting votes for the top 25 before they lost. So this is not a West Virginia kind of pushover game by any means, and they're gonna have to bring their A game. But I think they do. I think this I thought last year's team was really good at the end, especially. I think we all agree they should have made the tournament. They were clearly, in terms of
that West Virginia, we should talk about that. But go.
Oh, you want to? We'll talk about that. But this team, talent-wise, just looks real. It looks like it's because the team 2 years ago was really good, and I love that team because it got us back to the tournament and everything, kind of stabilized this program. But this team is so talented.
The guard
last year's team was
there's so many good guards on this
There's
team.
so many good guards, and there's more depth than we've had. You know, you got Zach Austin coming off the bench. I mean, you got the other Diaz Graham. I think will be better. Papa Conte. He hasn't played much at all, but I think they're going to need him in conference play. Because
the Diaz Graham kids, like they're a liability at times. This Cam Corrin, how their season goes is gonna depend on how well they are on the glass. This Cam Corrin certainly seems like an upgrade. Diaz Graham, I think, is better.
And he can score.
At the four.
He can score. He's like a little poor man version of John Hewley. Really,
he shoots well.
Yeah,
but he has the strangest release I have ever seen in my life. But he can shoot. He can shoot for a center. I mean, he could shoot.
Well, I don't know if
he a center, but he plays the five, so he's kind of a center.
I think he can shoot for the most part, but remember, he switched down one and then he completely bricked the other one.
I remember that.
But he made his free throws, though, too.
Yeah, he did. So he is definitely an upgrade. And Damian Dunn, I love that addition.
He is wow. He was impressive.
Yeah.
Because I remember watching him at Temple, and he was just a really good player when they had like decent teams. And he goes over to Houston, and he was a transfer over. Houston has a style of basketball.
Yeah.
He was a bench player. They didn't really utilize him too much. But at Pitt, as a veteran leader, he is just. And I know he's shooting really well. This is unsustainable, the way he's shooting. Same with like Ishleg. Ishleg's shooting 65% on field goals right now. This is like, it's like crazy good. So that's going to, go down a little bit, but he has played so well so far. And if he can continue that, and Jalen Lowe, who just had a triple-double against VMI.
And he's supposed to be the best player, and he hasn't, he's great. He's been good. But he's these other guys have been a little more impressive. So
I don't think he's like a
good sign.
I don't think he's like a scorer first. He's not going to lead the team in points, but he's going to lead the team in assists. And he's. Yeah. I think he's been the second best player so far. I don't think he's been bad by any stretch.
No. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, I really like this team, I said it last week on our show. You look at this conference, and I've been ACC pom poms
Put
for
the
years.
pom poms down.
But. It's more balanced than it has been because like some of these teams like Louisville was just historically awful. Florida State for a couple of years, they were in like the 250s in terms of just terrible. I saw like the Ken Palm at Boston College is the worst, like 110, and everybody's like in between. There's a lot more. It's a lot more evenly but there's a lot of teams in that back half. I think Pitt's clearly the third best team right now with the potential to compete with the likes of North Carolina and Duke. I think if they don't finish third at least this year, something terrible is gonna happen because you look like Miami.
I mean that's not.
If you like,
I honestly agree.
Miami, that's saying that's not like a lot. That's not like I don't feel like it's that obvious and easy though. It's a basketball season, a long season.
Like the schedule, they get a lot of they play Clemson at home, they get North Carolina, they got to play at UNC, at Duke, and they play at Wake Forest. But Wake Forest hasn't looked good. They beat Michigan by 2 points, and Michigan got a new coach, Dusty May, and a whole new group of players. Miami just lost to Drake as 10-point favorites, and they got thoroughly outplayed. I was streaming that. I was streaming that game during my one class. But
bad,
not locked in.
Not good.
But I was locked in for the most part. But I was, a little bit of both. The stream was crashing out though, so I was able to watch most of it. And Clemson I know Boise State's a good team, but they lost at Boise State by 13 points or something, and they were kind of really out of that game in the second half. I don't know. Clemson, I think they've all taken a step back, these teams. I don't know. People are saying Miami's a good team. Did we see what they did last year?
Yeah. And then they lost to 11 against Drake.
They lost O'Meara. They lost Norchet O'Meara, their big man. He's going there.
Yeah.
They added some, mid-major play. I don't know why they were ranked so highly, and Virginia was there.
Because they're Miami.
Yeah, Miami always gets the flowers.
I know, but basketball-wise,
North Carolina's going to be good this year. We know that, right? They still got that big kid.
No, they don't have him anymore.
Baycott,
But they still have
no.
R.J. Davis.
They don't have Baycott anymore?
No,
They
he was
have
like-
R.J. Davis, though. Yeah,
okay.
they do
R.J.
have-
Davis. They have Elliot Cadeau, who's really stepped up so far as a sophomore. Even like assists, he's averaging like 7 assists a game. They got some good depth. They're a good team for sure. And Duke is
with
too.
Cooper Flag.
Yeah, he's a do-it-all guy too, and so that's gonna be an issue. But I think Duke lost a lot too. Like they lost Filipowski, they lost Jeremy Roach to Baylor.
Yeah,
Duke's
they
they're a
yeah.
machine. They're
I
always
know.
getting great players.
So it's gonna be interesting. But there's a lot of winnable games in the conference schedule, and if you can win a couple of these, if you could split these next 4, that would be a huge win for Pitt, I think. And if you win 3 of 4, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I just want to say, like, I am so impressed at how Jeff Capel makes his lineups. I know that's weird, like his starting rotation.
Capel's done a
I know
great
it's,
job.
I know that's weird.
That's
to
a
say.
great coach.
Yeah,
we
he is-
have a
yeah.
lot of issues with some of these coaches.
And
Jeff
people-
Capel is
yeah.
an amazing
People
coach.
wanted him out
Yeah, I
after
know.
that. Before the year they made the
I know.
tournament, everybody was. I was
Yeah.
like, we gotta, dude. It's been.
And not only that,
I mean, he had carried in a mess.
People-
a mess.
And people were angry about his extension. They're like, "Oh, we're just gonna
Yeah.
be mid." I'm like, do we forget what Kevin Stallings did?
Yeah. And he had the 1 year to prove himself. Because it was like Heather Lake was going to move on.
Oh, yeah.
It was
Oh,
that 1 year.
absolutely.
If they didn't do anything,
Rightfully so.
and he not only had a winning record, they made the tournament. Like
Yeah.
that was nobody was really expecting them to make the tournament either.
Not at all.
They made the
Not
NCAA
at all.
tournament.
They were supposed to be
I
near
think
the
they got
bottom.
into the transfer portal that year too.
They did.
Yeah.
That
And
was when
really
they
helped
first.
them.
Yeah.
And he's been
Yeah.
great. And
Yeah.
he's the only misses he's had were when they were bad anyway. Like
Yeah.
Sam Oladapo. I remember everybody's hyping
Yeah.
him up. And he was
Yeah.
not good. But he's hit on like Nelly Cummings, Jamarius Burton. That was that year.
Yeah.
Greg Elliott. They
I'm
got
excited
everybody.
for Brandon Cummings, Lincoln Park
I am.
kid. I'm
But
excited.
I
for
do
him.
want to say before we go into picks
Yeah.
that I really with now that like Bub Carrington, he was the ball dominant guy last
Yeah.
year. I feel like we can all agree with that. So it didn't make sense for Ish Leggett to be a starter because while he's not completely ball dominant, he's more or less of that.
Yeah.
So now that you don't have Bub Carrington, you bring a Damian Dunn who, like you said, he's an experienced guy. He played on a very good Houston team.
Yeah.
He comes in with that experience. He's a scorer, like we've seen. He's a guy that scores, but he's not a ball dominant scorer, and that gives that makes you be able to start Leggett. And I think Zach Austin is a perfect fit for a sixth man because
Yeah.
he can come in, make a lot of defensive, not highlights, but like make a lot of great defensive plays for this team whenever we need it. Not like a much better version of what William Jeffers was, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like. You get that element. You don't have to start Zach Austin, who doesn't offer you much scoring wise. I mean, at High Point he scored, but like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Damian
Yeah,
Dunn
yeah,
was
it
long
is
with
what it
his,
is.
against
Yeah.
West
athletic
Virginia.
abilities, I think a lot of those he got so many offensive. A lot of them
Yeah.
were like putbacks and
Right.
stuff. But he shot the ball better so far too. From
He has.
3. Like it hasn't been high volume.
yeah,
But he looks a little better shooting.
Yeah.
It was funny during the West Virginia game. He was getting a little aggressive. He was just
Yeah.
he started firing them, and he
Yeah.
almost made a couple that were very contested. But it is good to see him like
I
confident.
do want to say that West Virginia game because we were there.
Yeah.
Because West Virginia's not a great team. They're rebuilding, right? They have a new coach, but you expect them to keep getting better, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they'll maybe, with basketball, you see that a lot. Teams get better.
Yeah.
And that was a dominant
Yes.
performance. And West Virginia played awful. I mean,
that
they
could have been a
couldn't
30
they couldn't hit the backside of a barn.
that could have been a
on
30-point
offense.
game. That could have easily
should
been
have
a
been,
30-point game.
honestly.
Yeah, they put the subs in and
Yeah.
kind of
Right.
got a little closer.
And that was and I think that looks very good on Pitt's resume.
It does.
The way they won it. Because I know they should have won, but they were like 6-7 point favorites in a rivalry game, and they just dominated. Like, you don't expect that. We didn't expect that.
No.
And the coach's kid, DeVries, like
They did a great
were
job.
horrible. He couldn't get any good shots.
both
I mean, a
teams-
couple, but like
They did a great job on Tucker DeVries.
Yeah.
They were right on him. I think they made emphasis. They were doubling him at times too, trying
Yeah.
to make it tough.
Both
And he
teams-
had an off game anyway, but they just did a really nice job on
yeah.
him.
Both teams played man to man, and it was like our athletes were better than theirs. Like,
Yeah.
that
And
was just,
they just
Yeah.
could they don't have shooters, and the one Sincere Harris, they were just letting him shoot. That was so he started driving in. They were just leaving him wide open because he kept shooting and he was missing, and then so he starts driving in and he misses a layup.
They had some embarrassing. I know the guy like stepped on the line during a
They missed the air ball and free throws.
I was
Yeah,
gonna
but-
get
yeah.
they airballed 2 free throws. I've never seen that. I've
Yeah.
seen it once, but not
Yeah.
twice. I mean, but then the guy was inbounding and he stepped on the line, and
Yeah.
then we got the ball. I mean, that was embarrassing.
Yeah.
That was bad.
Yeah, Toby O'Connor misses, and he was at Duquesne. He started at Duquesne, then he went to UIC. But they're it's not like they're like Louisville of last year. They were ranked like a top, like they were like 90, 80, 90. So
I think they're gonna be okay.
They're not a pushover team.
They might have just had a really bad night, but in a rivalry game, you don't expect.
And they
that.
blew out. They blew out a team they won by 43.
Who did they play?
They played Iona. Iona's not as good as they were with Rick
Still,
Pitino.
that's still.
But they were favored by like 8 points, and they won by
Wow.
they won 86-43, I believe. So they really responded.
Everyone. Bob Huggins left. Everyone left. So that's a big rebuilding process.
Yeah, hopefully they. Like last year, they put their early schedule as like disfavorable. Hopefully, they don't discredit this early win if West Virginia.
Yeah, that'd be crazy if they're like, because Pitt's under Jeff Capel, they've started out slow. They've had a lot of transfers that are integral to the team.
Right.
They started out slow last year, but was it last year when they played? Yeah, they played Florida, and they got
We did not start off good last year.
Missouri was. Yeah,
but they
I don't
had
know what happened.
It was Carrington and Lowe, the freshmen, coming in. This year, Lowe's a sophomore now. Ish Leggett's a senior. Damian Dunn's a senior. And Brandon Cummings coming in as a really nice bench option as a freshman, as a scorer. They've set up so much. If they had a rough start here, then it would have been like, then there would have been some questions because of how they're set up. I mean, it's a very veteran-laden team. But now you got to continue this, have a good non-conference. The strength of schedule, they can't say it's going to be bad because it's not going to be bad. I mean, they're playing all these Power 5 teams. So I'm really excited for this season. I think it's going to be a really good one. We'll see where they can go. I was looking at ESPN's numbers. They went up. I was looking on Tuesday. They had a 0.6% chance to win the national championship. It went up to 0.7 on yesterday.
Yes.
Hang the banner.
Yes.
And they had a 60%. They have like a 60% chance to make the round of 32. That's like really high. I was like, that's like crazy. Like not only to make the tournament, to make the round of 32.
Metrics are in favor of Pitt.
ESPN.
Yes, for the first time
ever.
Because they were low going into the season, and then these blowout wins, they like moved them way up.
Yeah,
on ESPN.
when you do what you do.
Yeah.
When you blow out teams, you're gonna obviously the numbers are gonna favor you.
Yep. And I'm glad we got to end, these discussions on a positive note.
Yeah.
But now let's get into our NFL picks.
I'm 1-0 this week.
1-0.
1-0.
There's always a silver lining when you pick against the Steelers and you get it right.
Yeah, you get to bragging rights against us.
Well, you said earlier, like everybody was picking the Steelers. I don't think everybody was picking the Steelers. I think there was a lot of sentiment against them. Going in, I was thinking about picking
when you look at the overall, because I always look at the percentages on DraftKings, like 80% of the country was on them on the money line.
Oh wow,
90,
that's actually crazy.
Yeah,
because I think a lot of people around here were like,
yeah.
Anyway, going in, I was very wary about
the shame that it gets to that point every year that you can expect.
Now last week, I'll tell you what happened last week.
Yeah,
kind of everyone was kind of like around the same. Jake Bell, good week, 10-4.
Good week.
Because he had the Steelers. That was actually the difference because me and Cashman were 9-5. Shivens 8-6. So if Shivens, you're down 3, or no, you're behind 3 games you're 3 games out of first place behind Cashman.
I'm already
you're still
0-1.
right there. Hold on a second. So Bell, you're 98-66. Shivens, you're 102-61.
That's pretty good.
Oh yeah, that's right, because you were a game out actually, so you're only you're still 2 games back. Okay, you're 2 games back. Levitt Cashman 104-59, and then I'm at 90-74. 14 games. Too many upsets. See, that's the problem. I pick the games like the Browns too often.
Well, he went on my radio show yesterday.
And we made our picks.
We made our picks. We got some upsets here. When we agree too often here.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it.
But let's get into it. So, the first game, Chiefs against the Panthers.
Oh, I don't know about this one. Nah, Chiefs. I'm taking yeah.
I think the Panthers they're going to hang in there, I think. It's not going to be close, but I think they'll hang in there. Off a bye. They have some momentum. They're playing hard with the new quarterback, with the Bryce Young playing better, and then the new coach. But, yeah, Kansas City off a loss, too. Yeah.
I would say this is going to be a blowout, but the Chiefs have not had any blowouts this year, even against bad teams.
Yeah, their offense just has been mediocre.
They'll probably. 10. I think this is a good number. I think they'd probably win by 10 or so, But I'm going to go with the Chiefs. But I really hope Bryce Young plays well. I'm really rooting for him. He's just kind of similar to Kenny Pickett. He's had like the worst situations,
Yeah.
and he's more
But
talented.
worse than Pickett, because at least
He's
he
not
had
worse than
Pickett out
because
of
he's had all
defense.
these coaches.
Yeah.
He hasn't had stability like as an organization. The Panthers are a mess, and they have a terrible owner
Yeah.
who should actually their owner actually should
Sell the
invest in Pitt.
team.
Yeah.
He should actually invest in Pitt Athletics. He's a Pitt guy, David Tepper.
Is
I
he
hope
really?
I hope he's nowhere
No,
near
let's
Pitt.
stay away from
Yeah.
Oh, we need some NIL though.
We
just,
do need
just give some NIL
yeah.
or something.
Yeah, just give us money and don't come into
Yeah,
Pittsburgh. That's all.
Mark Cuban. We need some money.
He's too busy with the Mavericks, though. Unfortunately.
He's out. With them. He sold the Mavericks.
Oh, he already did.
He's too
Wait,
busy.
why did I not know that?
Yeah, you're behind.
No, he's still,
I guess I'm.
He
What?
sold the
no, he
Mavericks.
still has
I didn't know
part
that.
ownership. He sold a large stake. Though.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
he's still part owner.
But he's not like
He's still
that.
there.
He was involved. I mean, he ran the team.
He spent
Yeah.
a lot of time right now arguing with people on Twitter. That's what
He
he's
is.
doing.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
I love him though. I really like. My mom knew Mark Cuban when she lived in Dallas, and they had a whole friend group, and
Oh, wow.
that was actually really
Interesting.
cool in the 80s or 90s.
All right, so
whenever
we're all
it
on
was.
Chiefs. Cashman.
Cashman Chiefs.
Okay. Bucks at the Giants. So Tampa coming off a bye. They've had some crushing losses. They play really hard. Giants are going with Tommy DeVito.
Which instead Drew Lock blows my mind, but
And-
I'm going with the Bucks.
And Daniel Jones gave a retirement speech.
He basically.
No,
felt like-
it was a Giants farewell.
But
It wasn't a retirement
It was
yet.
so just very ingenuine. It was like he was just like he was like reading off a sheet.
It seemed like he was
very
forced to. It
strange.
seemed like he was forced to say something. Didn't it feel like he was like?
Yeah, it was very, very odd.
Yeah.
And apparently the locker room is torn up about this. They want Jones to still be the quarterback because they feel like he's the best they have, and he
He is
still
the
made
best.
it right.
He
and
is,
now
yeah.
he's not even third string. He's like on the scout team. I mean, they're just
He's fourth.
The
he's the
Giants are
fourth-
making a statement. They're saying they're done with him.
Yeah.
And I get that, but yeah, I think the Bucks, they've been playing so hard. They're off a bye. They get
Division-
Mike Evans back. I think
Division's still up for grabs.
yeah, they
Lot
lost
to
to
play
Atlanta
for.
twice, which puts them at a disadvantage.
But if they win,
Baker's having a better year than he did last year, but their record isn't the same. I think the Bucks win big this week over the Giants. Big.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I have the Bucks too.
Yeah,
and if
for
they
sure.
win, Atlanta's on a bye. They're a game out. They're really 2 games out.
Atlanta's
But
been
the way
really
Atlanta's
bad.
playing, and with do you see the Bucks schedule? I'm gonna read the schedule because it is. If you take care of business, it's okay. They're at the Giants, at the Panthers, versus the Raiders at home.
Oh my God.
At the Chargers is tough, but at the Cowboys, at home against the Panthers, at home against the Saints. It is.
They should win 6 of 7 at least.
Yeah.
Or whatever that is.
Like they're better than every team except the Chargers on that schedule. So they could. I mean, they could. They've had some tough losses, but they have a plus 13 point differential, and they're 4-6. It's kind of crazy. But I think we're all on Tampa. Cowboys, Commanders.
Commies.
Yeah, the
mean,
Commanders have way more to play for. The Cowboys, I feel like, in their best interest, should lose out. Like that's weird to say.
I think they have a
but-
chance at the number 1 pick.
Yeah,
Well, we were
that's what they should
talking.
be
We were
hoping
talking
for.
with noted Cowboy fan Matt Palangi. Shout out Matt, and he was talking about that too. They need to lose out
Yeah.
because so they need picks. And it's not just it's not quarterback. This is not a quarterback issue. Although they are paying their quarterback $30 million too much annually, but it is something from each position. It's just they need running backs. They need another wide receiver.
Yeah.
Their tight end, they're all right. They need some linebackers outside of Parsons. They need secondary pieces. They need a little bit and D line. They need a little bit of everything. I'm gonna go with Washington as well. This is a game where they've had some losses where their offense has been poor recently against the Steelers and Eagles.
I mean, Bo Nix is creeping up there for offensive.
Yeah,
rookie of
he
the year.
is.
It's crazy.
He is. Jane Daniels got to respond. I think they're playing such a poor defense with the Cowboys. I think that's a get right game for Washington.
Yeah.
Cashman on Washington too.
Yeah.
All right. Patriots, Dolphins.
This game is strange because the Patriots have been playing really well.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Miami is, world beaters, but they're getting on a roll back with Tua. The offense looks good.
Yeah.
They're 7.5-point dogs. That's tempting to maybe take New England, but they have been playing really well lately. It's like on the road. I don't know about this game for them. I don't know what to think of it from a spread standpoint, but Either way, I think the Dolphins get the dub.
I agree. I'm going Dolphins. They need this. Like they've made it well known that they're trying to make the playoffs.
They
which is
better
crazy.
not, because I had a bet that they wouldn't, and it was
Yeah.
looking really good.
Yeah.
Until now, it's like, maybe with Cincinnati, But I think the Broncos are gonna. The
That would be
Broncos are
crazy.
legit.
Well, to get into them. I'm looking at their schedule. We'll get into the Broncos.
The
I was
Dolphins'
looking at the
schedule is tough at the end. We talked
Yeah.
about that in the beginning of the season. That's why I made that bet for them to not make the playoffs. They had to do much better in the beginning of the season because they have the Patriots. They still got.
They're at the Packers. They
Tough.
host the Jets, but whatever. They'll win that. At the Texans. At home
Tough.
against the Niners.
Tough.
At the Browns, which Steelers just lost to them.
That's
at
not
the Jets.
easy. Is it at the Browns?
Yeah.
Cold weather, Tua.
Yeah.
That is
Right.
very true.
And they're at the Jets the last.
The Browns are better than their record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they made the
roster's
playoffs
not
last
bad,
year
right.
with Joe Flacco. And they easily made it. They won 11
Well, I'm not
games.
panicking
Well, nobody's
about the Steelers.
Yeah, but I think for me, expectations there for the Steelers are always going to be they may
they
win a
won
playoff
5
game.
in a row. That's okay. We're gonna be okay.
Yeah, but they're not
We're
going to
gonna
win
be
they're not going to win the ultimate prize.
Because
They got to win a playoff game first and
Right.
foremost.
Yeah, they do.
If they don't
Very
win one this
desperately.
year,
right.
But we're done with the Steelers. So we're all on the Dolphins.
Yep.
Okay.
Let's see, Cashman. Yeah, we're all
Yeah.
in the Dolphins.
Another kind of similar game here. Titans at the Texans. Houston and Miami are both 7.5-point favorites.
I'll take the Texans.
Is Houston off a bye? Or no, they just played Dallas on a short week.
Yeah.
So they have a short week.
Yeah, but
the
they
Titans,
didn't exert
Titans
anything.
continue to play. The quarterback situation is terrible, but they continue to play inspired ball. The Texans just haven't. C.J. Stroud just hasn't looked quite the same this year. I really like the Titans to cover here. I think this is a close game, but the Texans do need to win some games here. So I'm gonna go with Houston, but I think the Titans keep it close. I just can't trust Will Levis, but I think I like them to cover here in a division rivalry game. But yeah, Texans.
Yeah, I got Houston also. They didn't really. It's a short week, but they didn't have to exert really anything. They steamrolled the Cowboys. It was over after midway through the third. So I'm gonna go with the Texans. And if they win this game 8-4, they could potentially get in front of the AFC North leader in terms of seeding as well. So that wouldn't be if the Steelers end up not winning the division and they play the 4 seed, they might have to go to Baltimore.
I hope. Oh my gosh.
So
that might be good. I don't know.
I have no
don't know.
idea what to think of that.
all right, so is Cashman?
We're a little far from that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cashman's on the Texans.
Okay. Lions, Colts.
Colts are home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Colts are at home.
Can't bet against the Lions.
You can't. Yeah.
To lose.
The Colts have so much to play for, but Anthony Richardson against that Lions defense, I don't think that's going to go well. I'm going to go
Yeah.
Lions.
Richardson did put on his big boy pants. It was a good
Yeah.
sign, the game-winning drive. But the Jets' defense has been terrible since they lost Robert Saleh, thanks to Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
So I think the Lions win, but I think this is a competitive game. I like the
Yeah,
I like
Colts have
the
a lot
Colts
to
to
play
hang in
for.
there.
The Colts
But
have
the
a lot to
Lions
play
are
for.
just so dominant.
Yeah.
They're just so dominant.
Yeah, the Colts do have a lot. They're one game out of the playoffs right now, and I'm gonna look at their schedule real quick because they've had some tough games so far, but I really like what I saw from Richardson last week. I think he took a big step forward. Yeah, the Colts.
He has the potential. I'm sorry, what were you saying?
No, go ahead.
I was saying he has the potential to be he's not going to be an elite passer. He's not reading the field. But with Shane Steichen, he's a great offensive coach. He has the potential to be like a Jalen Hurts type, maybe not as good, but the potential's there. But it's just he needs to.
He has something you can't teach, and that's arm strength. You just
Yeah,
have to have him learn how
Yeah.
to be a quarterback.
Right.
And let him use his legs.
I'll just
Yeah.
look at their schedule after the Lions, at the Patriots, at the Broncos, at home against the Titans.
That Broncos game,
That's a huge game.
Yeah, that's
because
actually
that could
crazy to
determine the
think about.
7th seed.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that? Wow.
Yes, because I thought the Colts would probably be in a similar position,
Right.
but I thought they'd be over. It's a good roster they have there, but the Broncos being in, I thought they'd be like a 7-win team. I thought that was optimistic.
Yeah.
But they already got 6 wins. They're gonna win, more than that. So, but they got the Titans, they got at the Giants, and at home against the Jaguars. So they got a lot of easy games.
Yeah.
At the end of their schedule. So I'm going to go with Detroit as well. I just don't think Indianapolis can keep up offensively. I think they're a much better offensive team with this version of Anthony Richardson, but the Lions are just another animal.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Detroit. All right, Vikings, Bears.
Jake
This is
Bell.
actually really difficult.
Nate and I know where we stand on this, but we want to hear your thoughts first.
It's an interesting game.
Are the Bears home?
Yeah. Third straight home game. Vikings, third straight road game.
You know what? I hate doing this, but I'm going the Bears.
Well, guess what? We're right there with you, buddy. We're going with the Bears.
I feel like
Bears.
This is gonna bite me, but like I don't. The Vikings. I just feel like Sam Darnold might not have a good game, and
They have been
Caleb
not
Williams,
been. He has been pedestrian lately.
I think Caleb Williams is also due to bounce back.
He had
So
a
you
good
have-
game
yeah.
last week with the new offensive coordinator. Sam Darnold has looked pedestrian against bad teams. They're on the road again.
Yeah.
I think this is a good spot for Chicago. They should have beat Green Bay last week. Another heartbreaking loss. The thing is, are they going to come out and inspire? But still a division opponent.
Yeah.
They still have a long shot at a wild card. Like they still have something to play for. They want to play for Caleb Williams to play better, and he did. He's been very streaky this year, but he had a good game. Got rid of the goofy offensive coordinator Shane Waldron, who I thought was better than what he was. But yeah, we all have the Bears except for Cashman, who has the Vikings. This is why he's in first
He's
place.
going to get a game on me. All of us, really.
Honestly, this is a little, like, not really off topic, but like I know I mentioned this early in the season, but I truly believe this now. I really wish the Vikings would have signed Sam Darnold on a 2-year deal, because if he finishes semi-strong, the Vikings, I doubt, are going to make him the franchise guy. If he has 1 year left on his deal, trade him for picks and then try to build around J.J. McCarthy, assuming that's still their guy.
I think they are. I'm not sold on McCarthy.
I'm not either, but like I'm
not.
not sold on Darnold either.
Right.
I assume they would side more on McCarthy because they invested that high pick in him.
You kind of know what Sam Darnold is. Like,
Yeah.
he's had a great year. I mean, but
Yeah.
he's shown the interceptions. He's shown a little bit of turnover proneness that has plagued him throughout his career. I agree. I just don't. I think the Vikings will value J.J. McCarthy as that quarterback one.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right decision, but that's what they're probably going to
Yeah, I
go with.
agree. Yeah. I mean,
But-
if Sam Darnold does do really well, you don't want to give up, like, trade him, and then McCarthy stinks, and then you're
Right.
screwed. But, like, I don't know. That would be an option if they had another year left on Darnold's contract, if they really felt McCarthy was the guy. So,
All right, Broncos at the Raiders.
I like this game to be very close.
yeah, I'm taking Broncos,
But
though.
I'm going with Denver. Bo Nix, honestly, is really developing really well. He's looking like going to be like a really good quarterback. I mean, the ceiling isn't like crazy high, but there's athleticism. He's a pocket pat. He's really learning how to read the field. And a dominating win against Atlanta. I mean, that was impressive.
Yeah, it was.
The Raiders, it's just hard to trust them. Minshew's been okay lately, but they're just not. I wouldn't be shocked if the Raiders kind of pulled this one out. I will be on them on the spread along with the Titans and the Bears, but not going to pick against Sean Payton and Bo Nix right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Broncos as well. But yeah, I agree. I do think it will be close because the Raiders have shown some fight. They were in it with the Bengals for a while, and then the Bengals offense just too much. They were in it with the Dolphins. They were hanging around. Dolphins offense. Their defense is not great. What are you going to do? And their offense is very limited, and with Minshew. So I'm going to go. And the Raiders are trying to get a top pick because they're trying to get a quarterback of the future. But I don't know if that's there in this draft.
Antonio
Yeah.
Pierce, he wants to win. That
He
guy
does.
wants to win.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He's a competitor.
I just hope they don't draft Shadur Sanders
I think-
for Cashman's sake. I hope they don't.
Cashman.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if Dion will let him. Did you see he was like,
well, I mean, not that they're gonna fire Pierce, but if they feel like Deion Sanders could come to Las Vegas, that might be an enticing way to fire Pierce so that they can have that father-son duo, which would be a disaster.
I like the move to make Pierce the head coach.
Yeah.
But so far, I don't really like what I've seen
Right.
from it. Like, I just don't know. Like, remember Rick Bisaccia? Remember when he was like,
I liked him.
They
Like,
should have
yeah,
kept
they
him.
should have kept him.
honestly.
That was the last time they were good.
He literally made a handwritten note to every single all 53 members of his roster whenever
Yeah.
he was gone, saying, "Hey, thank you guys," or whatever he said.
They should have kept him. And And then instead of doing that, then they do okay. Well, we'll do it with Antonio Pierce.
And
And it's not
McDaniel.
Josh McDaniels.
Holy, that was terrible.
We knew that was gonna go.
I mean, that was literally
Everyone
that was a much worse version of John Gruden as your head coach.
Right.
John Gruden. I mean, John Gruden
bad.
wasn't. He's a good coach.
Yeah,
He's a
he
good
wasn't
football
bad in
coach.
that stretch at all. I thought he'd be a lot worse. He wasn't even bad.
John Gruden is having a good time at Barstool right now. You
Yeah.
see what he's been up to.
Man,
He was like,
John Gruden, man. That's a good football player right there, man.
he was talking like,
Yeah.
the analytics people were telling me to go for it, and I
Yeah.
was like, no, but then we went for it and we didn't get it.
Well, John Gruden was a big Case Keenum guy. I mean, you could say, he dominated in Houston because he
Case
did, but like
Keenum.
he was a big Case
Yeah.
Keenum. He went to Case Keenum. And he was like, "There's
That's
a
a
lot
football
a lot of teams are gonna pass on you, and a lot of teams are gonna regret passing on you." Like it was something, and then he ends up having that one good season where Vikings could have made the Super Bowl, but.
Yeah, that was a crazy season for the Vikings. But all right, let's move on. This is some of these late window games. 49ers at the Packers. This is a very intriguing game.
Oh man,
Go Pack, go.
Packers are coming off a win, right?
Yeah, they
They
beat.
beat the Bears on a blocked field goal.
That's right.
49ers crushing loss against the
Seahawks.
Seahawks.
Niners are gonna come out and win this game.
49ers.
I think they'll win by 10 or more. That's a hot take. But
The last time you
Niners,
just said that with the Bengals
Yeah.
and the Eagles.
It was right.
Yeah, I did. And because the Niners need this win and they are going to come out firing. I don't care about injuries. That's out of the question when you're in desperation mode.
Cashman
And, yeah.
has the 49ers. I believe, who do you have?
Yeah,
the
I
49ers.
have San Francisco as well. I just think you have to win this. The Packers haven't played great off. They've been like at 20 points every game. It feels like they haven't really. Jordan Love's just something's off right now. The Niners are getting the kill back. Purdy wasn't the issue. I mean, didn't have a great game last week, but I think they need this win.
I think a
And
lot of people are
I
thinking.
hope they lose.
I think a lot of people are thinking the 49ers, including you three, are going to bounce
I'm
back.
surprised that we all got the
Yeah.
49ers of you over there.
I have the Packers.
Yeah.
Here's the big thing in this game. The Packers are probably going to be without Jair Alexander. The 49ers are probably going to be without Nick Bosa. So which one of those things is going to be more of a factor? This 49ers defense is old and progressively getting worse. We've seen it since the playoffs last year. They're getting George Kittle back, which is good, but the offense just hasn't been. I mean, Brock Purdy has played well, but when they're really going, CMC is really going, and their offensive line just hasn't been as good this year. And CMC is he's playing okay, but he's still getting going. They're trying to find that run game, their identity. I mean, losing to Seattle, they've owned Seattle, and losing like that, you'd expect them to bounce back, but without Nick Bosa, the offensive line is a concern. The Packers, they won last week, but they haven't played well. Like, they're going to be inspired. I like the quarterback and the coach a little more. They're at home in Lambeau. The 49ers, they've had the Packers number, but only in the playoffs. So I'm going with Green Bay, and I feel pretty confident actually in that. I think a lot of people are on San Francisco. But generally, I think the Packers are gonna play really well.
I hope the Packers win.
And also, that's
I
obviously
know.
like either or. I mean, these are two teams with a lot of pedigree. It's like either or. Like it's not a bad pick. It's not like you're picking the
Packers are favored.
yeah.
Yeah, by 3.
It's not like you're picking who are the Chiefs. The Chiefs are playing.
The Packers are a really good team. They just kind of not played it, but Jordan Love's good. They're gonna be good. That run game, that's a good. They have a lot of good players.
I need Josh
They're
Jacobs
young.
to go off for fantasy purposes. He has been actually, but I've had him on my bench because I'm an idiot. So I got him starting. He's gonna have like 2 points.
Or who are your two running backs, like Dobbins and?
I had Dobbins and Aaron Jones, and then I had Devon Achane. And Devon Achane too.
okay.
Devon Achane's been really good, but Aaron Jones had a bad couple weeks. So
Yeah.
he's get to the bench. He's on the bench now. Yep, you're done.
Yeah.
But all right, moving on. Cardinals Seahawks. I mean, whoever wins this game is going to be in first place
At Seattle.
in Seattle at Lumen
But
Field.
Seattle have a big win last week.
Seattle coming off a hang the banner type of win.
Is this for the division technically? Yeah, because
Yeah.
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 Especially because the Rams play a tough game and the Niners do as well. Both of them could end up being 5 and 6, and then
Well, if Arizona wins, they have full control.
right.
Well, I have a feeling that Geno Smith ain't writing back, and he's going to win this game.
Seattle.
Yes, Seattle's going to win.
Who do you got, Peyton? You got Seattle. No, you don't have Seattle, right?
I have the
thought you were-
Cardinals. I'll talk about this game a little bit.
Here,
but
I'll go Seattle because I'm going Seattle as well. I just think they've had poor success at home. They haven't been doing anything at home. They lost to the Giants. They lost to the Rams. They've lost some home games here. I think they win at home. I think it's going to be a really good game. I really like the Cardinals. I love what they're doing. I love James Conner. But I think Geno Smith, that's a huge win for them. I don't think they're that great of a football team, like talent-wise, but that was a really nice
Their defense
win.
is much better with this coach. But
It is, but they don't.
I
the
think
personnel
I actually
isn't-
disagree. I think their personnel is a lot better. I think, well, especially defensively and offensively, like their offensive line has never been excellent, but it's not bad. They're just missing the quarterback. I feel like it's kind of like Pittsburgh in a way, but maybe to a lesser degree. Like
But he's a good, solid quarterback. He's a top half of the. He's like 13th or something like that. That's kind of where Geno Smith's
I
at.
think I have him a little lower than that.
Oh, we should do a quarterback ranking sometime
We should.
too.
We
should.
should.
That'd be
that's
a
good idea.
We just thought that.
Next week.
Next week. No, we're not doing it next week.
Or 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
All right.
Wait, no, hold on.
Oh, yeah, you got it.
Yeah, I got to hold on. What does Cashman have? Cashman has the Cardinals, and I'm going to agree with Cashman here.
Okay.
Which quarterback do I trust more? Kyler Murray, everyone's kind of been down on him ever since the whole video game thing. And then he tore his ACL. He's small. This guy is one of the most talented quarterbacks in the league, if you really think about it. He's been playing out of his mind. The offensive line has been better. I mean, they're running the ball. James Conner having one of his best seasons, staying healthy.
Steelers should have
The
kept him.
defense has gotten progressively better under this. I always forget the guy's name. He was the Eagles' defensive coordinator.
Yeah,
but now he's the head coach, and they've gotten progressively better. They've just been playing really good ball. Off a bye. This comes down to which quarterback do I trust more. This may be a bad spot because Seattle is at home. But I like Arizona here off a bye. But I'm not. This isn't a game like I would bet. Like I'd probably stay away from.
This is a pick'em game, isn't
Yeah.
it? Feel like
It is a
like-
pick'em. It's the Seahawks. I think are 1-point favorites.
This is one you can't make.
No,
you can't make a bad pick on it.
On
Seahawks
ESPN,
on DraftKings. Seahawks are a 1-point favorite.
on
it was a
ESPN
pick'em at first.
on ESPN, Arizona's 1-point favorite. So
Wow.
it's really basically is a
Yeah.
pick'em.
Yeah.
But all right, moving on to the Sunday night game. Really intriguing matchup. The Eagles traveling to Inglewood, California to take on the Los Angeles Rams, coming off a win against the Patriots. Eagles 8-2. Although they haven't looked, I think they played okay, but they haven't quite looked like what we think they can look like.
when their offense
Yeah.
is clicking and Saquon is clicking. I mean, they have they arguably could have the most talented roster in the league.
Yeah.
I agree.
But the coach is goofy, and the first half they always come out kind of meh. And Jalen Hurts, he's not an elite pocket passer. He's just not. I mean, but this team is designed to run the ball with him and Saquon, and that opens up the pass game. So, but yeah, your take on this game, Jake, because we have another agreement here.
I want to go with the Eagles, but the Rams not only have more to play for, but they have the better coach, and I think that's what it's going to come down to. Who can outcoach who? I doubt McVay gets outcoached here. Give me the Rams.
Damn it! Yeah, we both have the Rams. Cashman probably going to pick up another game on us here with Philadelphia. Yeah, I agree. That's exactly what I said I was on Nate's radio show yesterday.
Sports Scoop, Nathan Shivens, WPPJ,
Yeah.
6:70 a.m.
6 o'clock on
Thursdays at 6. Tune in. You don't have to be on campus. You could be chill. My dad listens to it all the time, and he's just chilling at home on the couch. So you can listen anytime. Not anytime. You gotta listen
You have
once.
to go online, right?
But
yeah.
anywhere you can listen. Yeah, you gotta have access online. But
I
yeah.
agree. This is such a big game for the Rams at home in a primetime spot. I'm trusting McVay and Stafford. The defensive line for the Rams is really, really, really coming along. I think they stopped the run well. They're going to force Jalen Hurts into some passing situations. The Eagles have been playing. I mean, they've been on fire lately. But I think this is a great spot for McVay and Stafford. and I trust McVay more. Exactly what you said. Everyone's on the Eagles generally, but we're all on the Rams. But I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't like that as much.
Because it's weird because the Eagles are have the much better record, and we're all Rams. So.
Right. But it feels like because the Rams were so injured, they would have had a better record. They had to have had a better record with everyone healthy. I mean, their offensive line nobody was healthy.
Yeah.
And their receivers too. Now Nakua's back. He had a big game last week. So did Cooper Kupp. They're just a lot deeper now offensively. I'm gonna go Rams, but I think Eagles could. They're favored. They easily could win this game for sure. But and finally, this is a game that the Steeler fans will definitely be keeping a keen eye on. Ravens-Chargers Monday Night Football. Baltimore field goal favorite on the road.
Cashman, I believe, has the Ravens.
I'm taking the Ravens.
And we have a clean sweep with the Ravens, right, Nate?
Yeah. I can't deviate from my picks on last night, so I still think the Ravens are gonna win.
This is a good spot for Lamar. Gets an extra day of rest. He played awful last week. The Chargers defense is good, but they haven't seen Lamar a whole lot. This is the Harbaugh Bowl. This is going to be very interesting. The Chargers almost charged it last week. We're lucky to come away with that win after dominating the first half. I think the thing that scares me, I think a lot of people expect the Ravens to bounce back, but I think they're still the better team. Like the Chargers, Justin Herbert that passing game is really coming along. It wouldn't shock me if the Chargers win, and I hope they do.
This is another one where I hope that the team I'm picking.
But I think the Ravens, they're going to get back to Derrick Henry. They're going to get back to doing what they do best. I think Lamar, he always seems to bounce back. So I'm going with the Ravens here in the Harbaugh Bowl, and we all are. Yeah. Any other explanations for that game? Any other feelings?
Well, it could be. Chargers defense has played so good. Now every team against Lamar, other than the Steelers and the Chiefs, he's just been so dominant.
Yeah.
But this Chargers defense, I know they gave up a lot in the second half to the Bengals, but in that first half they were dominant. Who knows? If they just have a lights out game, if they could take, that'd be odd. That'd be so crazy. The Steelers lose to the Browns, but then the Ravens have a chance to get right there and get to 8-4 right there. Just a game back in the loss column, and then they lose themselves. And there's 7. I can't imagine them. That's why, I can't imagine them being 7-5.
I think a lot of the country can't. So this is tough. This is tough. It's going to be a good game.
But
I'm really looking forward to watching.
But I like the Chargers. I've always liked them. Really, it's kind of one of my second or third favorite team in the NFL. Really behind the Steelers, of course. But I've always liked them and their kind of underdog franchise. And I love Jim Harbaugh, and Justin Herbert. I know I have a big decision to make this week. Lamar Jackson or Justin Herbert as my quarterback.
Oh, you got it. The Ravens secondary is so bad. I think Herbert could have a good game. That's tough.
It is. Because I think Lamar's going to have a bounce back game as well.
That's crazy of both of them.
Well, Herbert hasn't done well fantasy-wise.
But lately he's come
along.
He
had a better week last week I've had Lamar. I just keep him at quarterback.
They run the ball well.
The Chargers defense could give them problems, but we saw them kind of fall apart there against the Bengals. I don't know. That's a tough decision.
I'll make that decision Monday afternoon.
Yeah.
I gotta ponder that one. I gotta do some soul searching.
I
gotta do some.
We gotta end the show with some soul searching.
The Steelers need some soul searching after what a bad loss, and we'll
be all right.
Yes.
This Bengals game's huge because if they lose that game, they could go.
Yep.
Right, because we got the Browns after that. But that's what I'm saying. I feel like if we beat the Bengals, we're gonna be fine. So.
I agree.
And I think we match up better with Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Because their defense, the Browns' defense, you could argue is better. I think it is.
They have to control.
They're not going to be, hopefully, not going to be in a freaking snowstorm. And they're going to control the clock. The Bengals don't run the ball. They just don't.
Right.
They got to get pass rush though. They got to get to the.
And they gotta put Dante Jackson on Jamar Chase. They get Joey Porter on.
Joey Porter on T. Higgins doesn't make me feel much better.
I know, but it's like, it's bad either way. But Jamar Chase is something else.
Yeah, he's. Yeah. That turned out to be a great pick. Everyone wanted Penei Sewell, and while he would be
He's been
very, very good, for the
Lions are very
Bengals.
happy with.
Yeah, Lions
that
are very
stuff.
happy, but like it's hard to say Jamar Chase was a bad pick because he's fantastic.
Yeah.
Either way, we don't have time for trivia. We could do that, eventually. But that will conclude this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching, and let's go Steelers. Let's go Pitt.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Keep watching.
Here we go, Steelers.
Here we go, Steelers.
No, you
Here we
can't be
go.
saying that. You can't be
I
saying
don't
that.
care.
But after that,
We're gonna
loss.
be all right, guys. We're gonna be all right.
Yep. And have a
We're
great.
winning a playoff game.
And since we won't be
Hang
here
the banner.
we will not be here we will not have an episode the week of Thanksgiving. So we
Have
will
a
see
great-
you guys in
happy
2 weeks. Yeah, have a
Thanksgiving.
great
Happy
holiday.
Thanksgiving, the ends out there.
Yep.
Stuff yourself with some turkey, some mashed potatoes. Let's talk about this quickly. What are some of our
Oh my god.
Thanksgiving
Well,
meal choices?
I'll tell you what. My Aunt Jean makes the best stuffing. I mean,
Okay.
I don't think anyone can outdo her stuffing. I'll say
Well,
that.
Yeah.
my mother makes really good.
Turkey?
I'm
I don't like.
contractually
My
obligated to
turkey
say
has
that.
to be. I don't like it dry. I hate
Yeah.
dry turkey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not. It doesn't taste very good.
Yeah, it's
dry.
like-
It's
yeah.
just not.
And I love cranberry sauce out of the can. I'm big
Really?
on that.
I'm
yeah.
not a
Interesting.
cranberry sauce. I'm not.
I've
really
never
a
had it, I
cranberry.
don't think, to be honest.
Really?
I never
I had it once,
there's
and I was just like,
yeah.
eh.
But my favorite, like I love turkey, like I love Thanksgiving turkey, and the host may be disappointed saying this. Shout out to Daybreak, the host of Daybreak from this past episode that I'm sure will be aired soon. But they did not like. They said they don't like sweet potatoes with marshmallows, and that is my absolute favorite.
Sweet
Love it.
potatoes with marshmallows.
Yeah, I love it. Like the sweet potato casserole.
I'm not
with
a big
marshmallows,
fan of
love
sweet
it.
potatoes. I gotta be
Yeah,
honest.
they're all right.
But maybe
I
let's
love
be
it.
honest. Let's be honest about
Yeah,
sweet
apparently,
potatoes.
I'm the one with the hot take with this. I guess.
turkey, mashed potato. Do we do mashed
Yeah,
potatoes?
yeah.
Yeah.
Stuffing.
My mom makes like a broccoli casserole every year.
my
Which
mom
is really
makes
good.
green bean casserole, which is I like green bean casserole. But also I'm just a weirdo. I've always liked spinach and cheese. I have spinach and cheese. It's really good.
Yeah.
Everybody has that same reaction. Oh, you're just gonna walk out. He's done. He's done.
Spinach and cheese.
Dude.
Listen, I've had some weird food things too, so I can't be like too mad.
No,
at you.
dude, but every time we have like a big meal, I gotta have some. I just my brother. Nobody else really.
What a
eats it, but-
goober.
No one's disputing that.
Yeah.
But and some nice pie after. What do we do for pie?
Oh,
Do we get
yeah,
some apple pie.
Apple and pumpkin.
Yeah, that's
I'm
what we
actually more
get,
of a
yeah.
pumpkin guy, I think.
I am too.
Yeah.
Low-key,
I
yeah.
like pumpkin pie, but we usually have apple pie and then chocolate cream pie. I love some
Oh,
chocolate
that's
cream
good.
pie or some Oreo cookie pie.
You know
I
what's an
sometimes make some
underrated
Oreo
pie?
cookie
And this this isn't a Thanksgiving thing, but I love banana cream pie.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
yes.
That is
I agree.
I don't
Marie
think I've ever had
Callender's
that.
Grand Marie. This episode is brought to Marie Callender's banana cream pie. Oh my gosh.
I'm a big lemon guy too, so anything.
Oh wow,
lemon,
you
yeah,
like every
love it.
pie. Every pie.
Honestly, I mean, I'm not like I love chocolate. I'm not the biggest chocolate person though.
Okay. I
Unless
love
it's chocolate
chocolate.
cake, I'll prefer chocolate cake.
Anything
over
chocolate, give me. I have an issue with chocolate. I eat too much chocolate, but I think that was good that we had that. I said.
I love how we ended the
Yeah.
show and we haven't ended the show.
Yeah, and we hope you guys get to eat well as well.
Yeah, comments. What do you think about the Steelers and also some of your Thanksgiving meal traditions?
Yes.
because that's it's what
We'd
it's all
love
about.
50 subscribers for Thanksgiving. Wouldn't
If
Yeah.
that
we
be
get
nice?
50, that would be a
special.
big leap. That would be a big leap, and we'll throw a party.
Yeah, we will. Yeah.
Hang
We'll
the
have-
banner.
Yeah,
We'll have a
we'll have
banner
a Friendsgiving for every one of the new
Friendsgiving.
subscribers that helps us with 50.
Yes.
That's what we'll do.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Thank you guys so much again. Have a great holiday week, really. And we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.